Other takeaways. So there's a part in the film where they talk about the communist government was implementing the national education program, which was teaching support for the communist government in young students, and why people were opposed to that was one of the topics of conversation in the film. And I connected that to the critical race theory controversy that's in the United States about what should and should not be taught about our government in the country. And I think it reflects on how you want to spin the government in positive or negative light and what you should and should not teach in the thing. So I thought that was very interesting to see connections. Next slide. He Made Me Malala. I personally like this film because, like Joshua, it reflects how young people are becoming more involved in political movements and how they're rising to fight oppression and repressive situations in government. And seeing someone so young cut in violence over the right to pursue education was very inspiring. Takeaways. U.S. depiction of Taliban and human rights. I think a common thread that I could find in all the films was how the United States and how me as a person would see like this stuff on the news, and how sometimes you wouldn't see it and sometimes you did, for example. I remember seeing when she got shot, like all the news and stuff about how like what happened was a really big deal, but like why did we see this on the news but we didn't see the Arab Spring movement in Egypt, or why we saw the protests in Hong Kong but not Egypt. I thought that was really interesting. Next slide. Politics and film. Overall takeaways in the class. How politics influences the film industry, why we see some movies but we don't see others, why there's so many Fast and Furious movies but there's not a movie about like politics or the government or the president or how stuff works. People really like explosions. That sounds. Fast and Furious 11. Here. The economy is a big deal. I thought that was really interesting. How the film industry has to make films that sells internationally, and they can't make films that represent like the U.S. story of like the immigrant story or stuff that only matters in the United States because they don't make money everywhere else. So the economy and money is a big deal. Society changes and movies do too. They will never. The chapter we talked about was films. They don't make them like they used to, and I think it was interesting to learn how they don't make them like they used to because they can't. Because the society we were then is not the society we are now. So the things that were socially acceptable then are different than what they are now. And I think that's it. Politics and film, 262.